here's chapter 6.4 homework help. For the first two, it says write and solve an equation to answer the question below. Right? What number is 25% of 64? This is where we're going to go and label our part, our percent, and our whole. What number is? That's going to be my part. I see the keyword is. 25%, percent sign attached, that's P. Of 64 would be W. My equation looks like this. A equals P percent times W. Filling in what I know I'm missing A. My percent has to be written as a decimal. And then I have times by 64. When I do that on a calculator, A is going to be equal to 16. Next one, 39.2 is, that's A. What percent, that's P, I know it's missing, of 112, that's my whole value. My equation then is going to be 39.2 equals P percent times 112. Okay. To solve for P percent, I just divide by 112 on both sides. And I get my percent being equal to 39.2 divided by 112 is 0.35. To make this a percent, I need to change it to a percent. So I get 35%. Alright, number 5 and 7 here, it's asking us to find the sum and then write the fractions in simplest form. So for this first one, I see both my my denominators are 7. I have common denominators. Now it's just looking up top. I got 4 plus negative 6. Negative 6 is bigger by 2, so it's going to be negative 2 over 7. For the next one, though, I don't have common denominators. I need to make them. 4 times 3 is going to get me to 12, so that's going to help out. I'm going to also multiply the top by 3. I get negative 5 over 12 plus 9 over 12. Negative 5 plus 9, those two are going to fight each other. Positives are going to win by 4 over 12. Simplifying this, both of these can be divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Alright, the next 4 are all about this percent of change. Remember, our percent of change equation depends on if it's an increase or decrease. Right, typically, though, it's always going to be the biggest number minus the smallest number all over the original times 100 to make it a percent. And then we have to determine, did I go up or down? In the first example, it looks like I go from 12 to 36, so 36 is going to be biggest, 12 is smallest. My original is the first number, that's going to be 12, times by 100, right? It's going to leave me with this, 24 over 12, I just did the subtraction there, times 100. This is going to be equal to 200% when I'm all said and done. And I went from 12 to 36, that increased. Alright, for number 14, I start at 50 pounds and I go to 35. So I'm going to do 50 minus 35 over my original 50 times 100. When I do the subtraction, I'm going to get 15 over 50 times 100. Right, when I do this, I should end up with 30%. Check it quickly. And that I do. Right, I went from 50 to 35, that is a decrease. Number 16, 10 to 24. 24 is my big number, 10 is my small. My original starts out with 10, so I'm going to divide by that. And I need to then multiply it by 100 to make it a percent. 14 over 10 times 100. When I do that, I should get 140%. 10 to 24, that went up, so that's an increase. Okay. Finally, here's 16 to 42. Or 44.2. 44.2 is my bigger of the two, minus 16. I start with 16. That's going to be my divisor there. keep writing equal signs, and it's supposed to be multiplied by 100 there. 44.2 minus 16 is 28.2 over 16 times 100. If we put that in really quick, we end up with 176.25%. And I went from 16 to 44, that went up, so I have an increase. Alright, last thing right here, it says round to the nearest tenth. So for this one right here, I would have to change it a little bit. Rounding to the nearest tenth would be this. Okay. Alright, number 21 says, last week you finished level 2 of a video game in 32 minutes. Today you finish in 28. What's the percent change? So, originally, it took me 32. My new time, when I tried again, was 28. That's how we're going to decipher this. Again, we're going to go big minus small. And then my original time was 32, so that's the number I'm going to divide by. Right, 32 minus 28 is 4, divided by 32 times 100. Not equals 100, oh my goodness. Times by 100. 4 divided by 32 times 100 is 12.5%. And I went from 32 to 28, so I went down, so I had a decrease. Alright, number 22 is all about percent error. Remember, the only thing that changes for percent error is the fact that instead of dividing by the original amount, I divide by the actual, or like I like to say, if I did this right, this is what I should have gotten. Okay? You estimate that a baby pig weighs 20 pounds. The actual weight of the pig is 16. So 20 minus 16. If I had gotten it correctly, the weight I would have guessed would have been 16, since that's the actual amount. So that becomes the number we divide by. Alright, this is going to be equal to 4 over 16 times 100, which gives me an answer of 25%. And for percent error, I just need to write the word error. Okay. Percent of change with fractions. Okay. We need to identify it as an increase or decrease, and then write the percent of change and round to the nearest tenth if we need to. Okay? So if I think about it, right, a quarter to 1/2. If I had a quarter of a pizza, it's going to look something like this. But if I had half a pizza, I would get all of this. So this is definitely an increase. Okay, and then to go ahead and do this, right, 1/2 is bigger, 1/4 is smaller. The original number is 1/4, and then we're going to multiply by 100. 1/2 minus 1/4, or 2/4 minus 1/4 is 1/4. So I'll have 1/4 over 1/4 times 100. Well, 1/4 over a fourth is just 1. Multiplying that by 100, I get an answer of 100%. And we know it went with increase. So 100% increase from 1/4 to 1/2. For the next one, they both have 8s on the bottom, so I can compare pretty easily. 3 to 7, well, that increased. Dividing then, or doing this, we'll do 7/8 minus 3/8. Our original was 3/8, so we'll put that on the bottom. Multiply by 100. Okay, 7/8 minus 3/8, that's going to be 4/8 over 3/8 times by 100. 4/8 divided by 3/8 looks something like this. 4/8 divided by 3/8, which then in turn means we got to multiply by the reciprocal. These two are just going to simplify to 1s, and I'm left with 4/3 times 100, which is 400 over 3, which as a decimal is 133.3 repeating percent. Okay, so again, it was an increase, and there's our how much it increased. For the last problem, it says find the percent of change from June to September in the mile run time shown. So, one thing to note here is that time does not work like percents. Percents always work in hundreds. Our time system only works in 60s. So instead of trying to write this as 7.45, right, that is 45 seconds is not, 45% of a minute. We need to figure out what the decimal equivalent would be. And the way we do that is we take our seconds and we just divide it by 60, because that would be how much of a minute is 45 seconds. 45 divided by 60 is 0.75. 51 divided by 60 is going to be 0.85. So these are the decimals I'm going to use along with the minutes as the ones place. So for this first one, I have 7.75, right? 7 3/4 minutes. I'm going to subtract it from 5 85 hundredths of a minute. All right, my original time was 7 minutes and 45 seconds, or 7.75 minutes, and then we'll multiply by 100. So 7.75 minus 5.85 is 1.9, divided by 7.75, and then multiplying by 100 gets us a percentage of 24.51612, which we can round to approximately 24.5%. I got faster from June to September, so my time decreased. And that would be our answer. All right, there's 6.4 homework help.